Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to talk some Bucks basketball. Steve Sparky Fifer with you from the Wendy's Big Show on Sports Radio 1250, WSSP in Milwaukee. He, of course, is Greg Giesen here of the Racine Journal-Times, filling in for the vacation and Gary Wolfel. As we record this, it's NBA trade deadline day, so we don't know exactly what the Bucks will do as of right now. They have done nothing. The reports that they may not do anything other than possibly move Gary Neal. And the one trade rumor going around is that there are several teams pursuing Gary Neal, but the one that has the most legs right now would involve Ramon Sessions, the former Bucks point guard, coming back for Gary Neal. The reason why the Bucks would do it would get out from one extra year that they would have to pay Gary Neal, because Sessions is an expiring contract this year at $5 million. So it would clear off 1 year of salary by doing this deal. But according to the reports, we have not seen any draft pick compensation coming back if they were to make this deal. And for me, Greg, any deal you make today must involve some type of draft pick coming back.
When we started this season, yes, there was the hope of making the playoffs. But when everything went south, there was the, okay, we're doing this for the draft.
Right.
We are building for the future. If that's what you're doing, okay, you can trade and you can get pieces that are just going to at least draw fans and at least keep you competitive in games. But in the end, you're looking for picks. You're building.
Yep.
And the fan base, if they're going to have to put up with 10 wins at the break, and then probably, 15, 20 wins by the end of the year, they better have a reason to have hope. Ramon Sessions, fine player, not going to complain about him, but
I like him.
That's not building anything.
No, I like him, but the issue I have is, like you said, it's not building anything. It's just a salary dump for a year, and it's not a lot of money that you're getting with Gary Neal. It's not like Gary Neal's scheduled to make $10 million next year, and that's why you're making the deal. Gary Neal's only going to make $2-3 million, whatever it may be, next year. But I want a second-round pick. I don't care if the second-round pick is in 2017. Just get me another play that might turn out to be something, because the history of this organization says, hey, Bucks do pretty good in the second round. They got Michael Redd in the second round. They got İlyasova in the second round. They got Jody Meeks, who's now obviously with the Lakers and starting. They got him in the second round. They've had success. Luke Richard Baumute was a second-round pick. They've had success in the second round. So I know everybody likes to poo-poo the second-round pick. What's that worth? It's worth a lot. There are only 2 rounds in the NBA draft, and there's more talent than 2 rounds in the NBA to worth drafting from college.
And you have to do it right. But again, Ramon Sessions, so you're saving this money. That's great.
But he shouldn't play.
What are you going to be buying with that money? But just fill in players just to fill up slots so at least you can remain competitive?
Well,
you're not talking about stars here.
Right. Now, again, if it was me, if I was the Bucks, okay, I'd make that trade and I'd cut Ramon Sessions. He would never play for me in a Bucks uniform. I'd cut him immediately. And because I don't want Nate Walters losing playing time, and I don't want Brandon Knight losing playing time. Luke Ridnour didn't play in the last game. He just watched. So why would I want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. So I cut Ramon Sessions upon getting him. Bye, I'll pay you the rest of your contract like I would have had to anyhow. Pay you out, go. And I'm going to go down the D-League, and I'm going to go get me a young player that's playing well right now that might be able to help me out in the future. Let's sign somebody the rest of the year and see what happens. Tiny Gallon, another former Bucks second-round pick. Averaged like 25 and 15 or something like that over the last week. I mean, that is insane. 6'9", bulky power forward. He's got a face-up jumper now that he's been working on. So maybe that's a player you go get. I'll give you another situation. There is no reason, and I'm telling you no reason, why Luke Ridnour should be on this basketball team when this day is done. None. There are teams all over this league looking for guards. Yep. Point guards. Andre Miller's on the block. There's 3 or 4 teams. Washington has interest in Luke Ridnour, according to reports. But the Bucks don't know if they want to trade Luke Ridnour. Why? Why wouldn't you trade Luke Ridnour? And that's another deal. Washington. Ridnour's just this year. Here you go. Here's Luke. Give me a second-round pick in the next 5 years. Done. See you, Luke. Go get another D-League player. Put him on the roster. We're not trying to win basketball games by trying to get veterans on this team going forward. And if you have disgruntled veterans in the locker room, how does that help the young guys?
Well, you just said you're not trying to win right now. Going to the D-League, all you want to do as a team, no one probably wants to admit this, but it's true. All you want to do is have a competitive product. You don't have to win, but you have to show effort. The fans want to see at least effort out there if they're going to pay for the ticket. So go, do that. I don't understand either why they're going to have these veterans there. Ridnour, if you can get rid of them, maybe they're trying to sit there and have a poker face and say, you know what, we're not interested. We want, this, and this, and they're not going to blatantly come out and say we're going to move him. But
they have to realize
they cannot keep him.
Right. I mean, you have to realize Luke Ridnour is not Chris Paul. I mean, Luke Ridnour is Luke Ridnour. His value is not going to change from yesterday to today. He's only going to get you so much. And if you want to play hardball, you're going to get screwed at the deadline. I mean, that's it. Spencer Haas, okay, who's a pretty good center, I'd say, for the Philadelphia 76ers, right? You can take the jumper outside. He can play inside, the whole deal. They got 2 second-round picks for him from Cleveland and a couple of throw-in guys to make the salaries work. That's all they got, 2 seconds. So if I can get a second for a backup point guard who's not even starting, or a second for a Gary Neal who is a backup guard, I'm doing it. They got 2 seconds for a pretty good center in Spencer Haas. Come on. This makes no sense to me.
I'm sure Gary would have an argument for you, but the reality is you got to do something. You have to move these guys.
Let's talk about the Racine native, Caron Butler. Okay? Y'all love him. I'm fine with him. I got no issues with Caron Butler, other than there's no reason for him to be here. A couple different things. Number one, it's not fair to him to be on this horrible basketball team. That's just not. Give him a chance to go win somewhere, anywhere, whatever. If Miami has interest, figure out a way to get him to Miami then. I don't care. And then Gary Wolfel, who's not here because he's on vacation, probably sleeping, this is a guy who tweeted out that, look, if they don't tell Caron that you're going to get X amount of minutes or you're going to have a significant role, then if they can't trade him, maybe there'll be a buyout or they'll cut him or whatever to let him go play somewhere else. All right. I got more advice for you, Bucks. Tell him we're done. It's over. You have Chris Middleton at the 3 and you have Giannis at the 3. I don't need Caron Butler at the 3 anymore. Don't need him. Don't want him. Bye-bye. Now, I realize him and his family live here in Racine. Mm-hmm. Great. And just tell Caron, hey, man, you're always welcome to come back here and play. But we're rebuilding for the next 3 to 5 years. And if you don't want to be a part of this losing culture and being a guy that may only get 15 minutes a night, if that, then fine. Then go play somewhere else and make your money. And when you're all done and you retire, we'll bring you back. You have a Caron Butler night. We'll do the whole thing and done.
Well, the other thing about it is, too, Caron has X number of years left. He's
had a couple games this year where he looked really good. And
right.
Other games where he was brutal.
And you're talking about either you're at the late part of your prime or right. you're beyond it. Either way, he still can contribute.
Yes.
He's still a good player.
He can help a team like Miami.
He still has worth.
Yes.
Without a doubt. There's talk about him and Neal going to Charlotte. And
if I'm Caron Butler, I'm going, I really want to go to Charlotte.
But, there's talk there. At least they're listening.
Right.
At least they're looking at it and saying, well, okay, we can do this. But if you're keeping him just because he's from Racine and just because he's good in the locker room, well, then you're doing a disservice to Caron and you're doing a disservice to your team because you can be making your team better and Caron can be looking at the playoffs and maybe looking at getting a ring.
Right. I agree.
That's doing a service to your player. And if you sat there at the beginning of the year and said, you're going to get this many minutes, well, then find a way for him to get it. If not on your court, on somebody else's.
Right. And to clarify, I don't have a problem with the Bucks changing the game plan once they realized how bad this was going to be.
No.
And we're playing the young guys. Sorry, vets, that's how this is going to be. The only issue I have, and I do not know the answer to this, is when they made the conscious decision as an organization to go, okay, we're not tanking, but we're going to play our young guys a lot of minutes and get them experience because we're going to start the rebuilding process that we always said we would never do. When they made that decision, did they sit down with these veteran players that they just brought in and tell them the ramifications this was going to have on them? Did they ever do that? Because if the answer to that question is no, then shame on you. Now you're not running like a first-class organization. You're running like a second-rate organization. And that is on the general manager, that's on the head coach, and that's on everybody on the basketball outside of that team. If you never had that conversation with Gary Neal, with Caron Butler, with Luke Ridnour, and all those guys, because the one thing that is going to happen, and really at this point I don't care because we're not going to sign free agents for the next 3 to 5 years anyhow, that's going to mean anything. But now you may have these veterans going around the league going, yeah, they told me I was going to get this, then they flipped the script, never even told me they were doing it. Next thing I know, I'm on the bench, I'm not playing anymore, and had no idea. They never even told us. Not even close, to being a first-class organization. I hope that's not what happened. I hope they did tell him, but when you hear some stuff coming out of there, you question whether or not that ever happened. Now let's get to Ersan Ilyasova. Now, as we're taping this here on Thursday, I'm off of the afternoon show today. I took the day off because I want to watch some NASCAR tonight, and so I took it off. The İlyasova news, I get texted to my phone last night from a buddy who heard the same thing that then ended up being printed by a website that says, Basketball Insiders, whatever, that says that, according to their sources, Ersan Ilyasova is a guy that Herb Kohl likes, and they're asking for more than they should be for Ersan Ilyasova because Herb Kohl likes him. And Ersan Ilyasova is probably going to stay a Buck because Herb Kohl likes him. Not because the basketball people think this is the right move, not because the basketball people agree with this, but because the senator likes him. Now, I don't believe, in my heart of hearts, Greg, that everybody was on board with giving him the money they gave him to begin with. I don't think everybody was on the basketball side. I think there were people that strongly disagreed with what was going on, and they signed him anyhow because Herb likes him. Okay, fine. When you evaluate general managers in the city of Milwaukee for the NBA franchise known as the Milwaukee Bucks, you can't criticize them. You can't criticize Larry Harris. You can't criticize John Hammond. You can't criticize whoever's coming after John Hammond. As long as Herb Kohl is the general manager, you don't know what deals they're actually doing that they want to do and what deals they're doing because the senator wants to do them. You can't judge them. The Green Bay Packers, you know Ted has full reign. Mark Murphy's not interfering. Bob Harlan's not interfering. You know they've got full reign. Ron Wolf, full reign. Do what you want. Here, for the Bucks, not even close. Haven't been close for years. And now it's right out there. And I asked Herb Kohl several years ago, maybe it was at the Larry Harris press conference firing or the hiring of John Hammond, one of those many press conferences we've been to. And I brought up, what do you say to the people that say you're a meddler in this organization? And Herb Kohl went on this whole diatribe about, now Mark Cuban, now there's a meddler. He meddles far more than I do. You meet a Mark Cuban. No, I don't meddle like that. Okay, well now here, more proof. I mean, there's been proof for years, but now we have more proof. So for me, if Ersan doesn't want to be here according to reports, and Herb doesn't want to move him according to reports, then Ersan Ilyasova, if I'm John Hammond, I go pick him up in a limo, I bring him to Herb Kohl and go, tell him what you told us. Tell him you don't want to be here. Tell him right now that you don't want to be here. Herb needs to hear Ersan say it. And if Ersan hasn't said it, then he needs to, if he wants out, like reports say, I haven't talked to Ersan, but if he does want out, then you got to go face-to-face with Herb and go, Herb, thanks for the deal. I don't want to be here. And then maybe Herb will actually trade him.
Okay, in my mind, there are two things to this. Number one, if Ilyasova said, I want out, which, according to reports, he did. I mean,
wouldn't be the only Bucks player.
Right. And, Gary wrote it.
Right.
And if he said that, I don't blame the senator initially for saying, oh, we want to keep him. Because you completely ruined your value by sitting there saying, I want out. So, okay, maybe this is a cat and mouse game. And that's fine. That if you want to run the team like that, that's perfectly all right. Good cop, bad cop. Hammond's is selling him. Kohl is saying, no, we're trying to get the best value.
It's a good angle.
It's a
good angle. I hadn't thought about that.
That said, the history of meddling owners in any professional sport, you look at Jerry Jones, you look at the first reign of George Steinbrenner before he was...
Snyder with the Redskins.
Yeah.
They're all over.
It doesn't work. As an owner, you sign the checks. You delegate authority. You put people where they need to be.
But see, with Jerry Jones, he doesn't even have a general manager. Jerry Jones goes, I'm running the show. There's no mistaking that. So if Herb wants to be the official GM, then fine. Then let's not spend millions of dollars on GM.
Exactly. If you hire somebody, trust them to make the right moves.
I agree.
Just be quiet and let them do it, unless you're playing this game. And let's be honest. If I'm able to figure this out or come up with this idea, don't you think people who are much smarter than me in the management realm of the NBA are going to be coming up with the same thing and beginning to realize this? They know that. You can't have mixed signals. You all have to be on the right page. And it doesn't work when the owner meddles. It doesn't work well.
One other thing before we wrap this video up. Ersan, if you're watching this, sure you're not, but if you are, when you became a free agent, you said, point blank, time and time again, I don't care where I play. I don't care if I play in the NBA or if I play overseas, if I play in Turkey, don't care. I'm going to sign with whoever pays me the most money. You said it time and time and time and time and time again. And there were reports when you got into free agency, you didn't really want to come to Milwaukee, and you figured you were going to get more money somewhere else. Then when you realize that, Milwaukee's going to pay me the most money, I'm signing it. I'm going to get my money. It's guaranteed. And now I don't want to be here. Urs, you knew what type of organization you were in. You knew how this organization was run. You knew what you had in an owner. You knew what happened to the last general manager, what's happening to this general manager. This isn't some, oh my God, I can't believe the organization's run this way type move. Urs, you knew it when you signed for it. Fact of the matter is, you were greedy, you wanted yours. You got yours, and in my opinion, you can shut the hell up now. There is Greg Giesen. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer. That'll do it for another edition of Sports Junkies, talking Bucks basketball right here at RacineSportsZone.com.
On a side note, have you received your insurance policies lately or reviewed them? If not, you could be missing out on some huge savings. Steve Fifer, father of Sparky, and Shannon
Daddy.
His dad, and Shannon Ferguson Muniz of Farmers Insurance are happy to help you with the free needs analysis. Call 652-8088 for a free in-home consultation to review home, auto, life, and even Medicare supplement coverage. Steve Fifer Farmers Insurance Agency is a company you can trust. Call today.